As I settle in to read some of the most relatable and heartwarming stories from the internet, I'm excited to dive into the experiences shared by individuals on the relationship advice subreddit. Today, I'll be sharing some real-life tales of love, loss, and everything in between. My 47 male, wife 45 female, hated our Down syndrome son, 17 male, for the majority of his childhood. She has done a complete 180, but I can't face her without just being so disappointed. Is there a chance to save our marriage, or does it seem pointless? Context. After my wife found out the chance our unborn child possibly having Down syndrome was high, her excitement for our child was completely gone. When he was born, the midwives instantly somehow knew he had Down syndrome, and she became completely despondent. All the doctors, specialists, friends, family, everybody, all said that this was just PPD, that she would get better. I know I'm not the most educated when it comes to mental health and whatnot, but I can see hatred when it's in front of me, and she absolutely hated our son. The pure looks of disgust I've seen from her while she looks at our son left a permanent stain in my head. I loved him regardless, and I tried to be understanding of her at first. I tried to make excuses and reasons for her reaction and her behavior. I took it all on the chin, and deep down, I knew she felt awful and guilty. I continued my full-time job, while also taking care of our son completely on my own. She wouldn't even acknowledge him at times, and taking my wife to therapists and psychiatrists quietly because she didn't want anyone to know. There were times where I had no choice but to leave my son home alone with my wife, and it was around the same time I started developing panic attacks. What kept me from completely losing it was watching my wife break down after looking at a drawing my son made, which was of all of us, but she was the only one with a distorted face that wasn't smiling. I knew she was in there somewhere, and I also knew if I gave up on her, then she probably would have completely lost her mind. I saw it as a small glimmer of hope that could maybe be fixed with some more therapy and support from me, and she only needed a bit longer. All I had to do was keep a straight face and pretend our small family unit was a happy one. I'm not sure exactly when it started happening, but she actually did wake up one day and was just different. She slowly and gradually came back to reality. We became a family, and I felt like for the first time in years, I wouldn't have to pretend anymore, and I could be a relatively regular husband and father. Happy for the first time in years. I was telling myself this the other day, and I never really thought about it, but our son is 17 now, and for almost 17 years she treated him subhuman. I was going through this in my head all day, all night for the past week, when finally, I came to the conclusion that this is just my life. I don't have anyone to rely on. I have no clue who my wife is. I spent 17 years of my life picking up after a 17-year hiatus from parenting and the world that my wife took, and picking up after our special needs son. I never gave myself the chance to think about things, and last night I cried. I spent 17 years doing this alone, and I know it sounds awful to say, but it pisses me off. She gets to enjoy our son now, and is choosing to be happy now that we are financially free and are living our best lives. I know that I love my wife, and I know that she was going through a lot. But 17 years I spent being there for her, and not even once did she thank me, or ask how I was doing, or anything. It was all about her at times, her or my son. I feel like at this point I don't even want to reopen any old wounds in fear that she might go back into whatever state she was in before. So at this moment, all I can think about is divorce. Has anyone ever been through something similar? I find that these days I'm reminding myself that she suffered too, but as each day passes, I can feel myself getting angrier. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. I can't imagine how difficult this has been for you and your son. I know you said you took her to therapy, but how about yourself? Who have you been able to talk to about how you are feeling? I feel like you've been in fight or flight mode for the last 17 years. You've been trying to hold your family together and protect your son and make sure your wife was well. Who took care of you? Who could you turn to? This is, unfortunately, very common of someone who's in crisis mode. Now that the crisis is over, you're finally feeling all the feelings that you suppressed when you were just trying to survive. It must be incredibly overwhelming. Please get yourself into therapy. Please find a therapist you can be real with and say the hard things to. It might not be the first therapist you talk to, and that's okay. You will not know the answer to what your future holds until you are able to be real about what you've experienced. Make sure the therapist is trained in PTSD as well. You don't need to make decisions right now, but you do need to be in a safe place where you can express your feelings. I sincerely hope you read this answer, OP. Ignore the people who don't understand why you haven't addressed this sooner. They can't understand what you've had to do just to survive each day. Being in the survive it phase makes time fly by. You need an outlet for your current feelings and thoughts, which is therapy. You also might want couples or family counseling so that you can relate these feelings to your wife in a productive manner, so that you feel heard. Once you feel heard, you will be able to decide what you want to do going forward. And I don't know what level of cognitive reasoning your son has, but try to include him as well in your decision, as much as he is able. Very best wishes going forward, and I truly wish your life to keep looking up. I love the support. I do recommend moving away from the notion of feeling heard. A powerful life lesson that I carry with me is that I can't control others, only myself. Finding acceptance in myself, rather than the family members that cause the pain, actually gives me the ultimate power. I came here to say all of this. You have kept it all together while the war waged around you, and you are the only reason there are happy, best lives together as a family. It's commendable, but damaging. Please seek therapy and support. After my wife found out the chance our unborn child possibly having Down syndrome was high. Did you do a NIPT, or did you find out later? Was your wife thinking about an abortion at the time? Did you ever do couples counseling during a pregnancy to discuss what having a child with Down syndrome could mean for your life and relationship? But our son is 17 now, and for almost 17 years she treated him subhuman. For 17 years you never did individual, couples or family counseling. How comes you didn't get a divorce, knowing how her behavior impacted your son and you? I know that I love my wife, and I know that she was going through a lot, but 17 years I spent being there for her, and not even once did she thank me, or ask how I was doing, or anything. It was all about her at times. Her, or my son. This is all above Reddit's pay grade. You all need therapy. NIPT wasn't available 17 years ago. And now for the next story. I'm 27 female, and my boyfriend 24 male always tells me to leave or get out when I say no to sex. I'm 27 female, and my boyfriend 24 male always tells me to leave or get out when I say no to sex. He has a very high sex drive and mine decreased since we had a baby. We usually have sex once or twice a day, but he still wants more, and he thinks I should just give it freely, and majority of the time, I push down my emotions and just have sex even when I don't want to. He tells me sex is meaningless, and I need to suck it up because that's all I'm good for. We've been living together for 2 years, we just had a baby 6 months ago. He told me he wants to be the provider, and he doesn't want me to work. I'm tired of him saying I don't get to live here rent-free and that I'm not doing enough. When I got into this relationship, he moved in with me, and he told me to stop working so he can work and take on all the financial responsibility to show me he's man enough to do it. Now all he does is say that I need to do what he says, and it's a privilege to live with him, because all I have to do is take care of our 6-month-old babe. I don't have anyone to talk to, so I need advice on how to handle this because I don't want my child to grow without a dad. I'm hurt and feel vulnerable, but I need to be strong for our baby. Also, this is my first straight relationship, and my boyfriend tells me this is how straight relationships are. What is your perspective on this? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. This is not how straight relationships are. This is how relationships with assholes are. You are in an abusive relationship. Remaining in that relationship will be infinitely worse for your child than growing up without a father. Telling you that your only value is sex is abuse. Keeping you entirely financially dependent on him so he can control you is abuse. And pushing you into having sex when you don't want to is assault. You need to get out of there. Reach out to friends, family, and local women's groups. Anything you can to get out of there. Do not even consider entering another relationship until you have a better grasp on what it means to have self-worth and respect, and healthy boundaries. I am not blaming you for being in this situation, but for the sake of your child you need to do everything in your power not to repeat it. You do not want to teach your child that abuse is what they should expect out of relationships. This should be top comment. This absolutely covers everything. OP, read this comment if you read any of these. 100% this. The earlier OP leaves that abusive relationship, the better both for her and their child. OP, please take action ASAP toy. If you can't do it for your sake, then please do it for your baby. And now for the next story. My 26F husband 27M told me he had a shitty birthday after I tried so hard to make it special. Throw away because he goes through my phone. My husband is notoriously hard to please on his birthday. Any little inconvenience makes it not a good day. With that being said, this year went all out. I had the money to do it. I bought him the snake he wanted for $200, a $400 setup to go with him. It looks great. It's exactly what he wanted. The day before his birthday, we went out of town so he could see his grandma also, since he worked on his actual birthday. He came home to the snake setup complete because he had to work on his birthday. Working was strike one. Midway through the day, I start not feeling well. This turns into me on the toilet with a bucket. I still clean, cook, everything is perfect, even though I'm really struggling. I have a stomach bug, so we obviously didn't have sex. He is very sexual person and constantly complains about the amount we're having sex, most often once a week. So I knew he would be disappointed, but I didn't think it would ruin his birthday. Then this morning we really got into it. He was just clearly frustrated, and it ended with him saying he had a shitty birthday. I told him I worked really hard to get him the snake and the setup, to which he told me he would have rather spent time together. Mind you, we celebrated for 2 days, and I left for 45 minutes to go pick up the tank. We have 2 small kids, and he says it was them acting out. They weren't. And his job? He does have a grueling job that ruined his birthday. He also said I didn't make him feel secure. This is his code for I'm mad we didn't have sex. And a line he uses often. When I told him I'm sorry we couldn't have sex because I was sick, because I know him and I know he's pissed about it, he told me it's not all about me and left. How do I handle this? I'm honestly just pissed I did all this, and it's just another shitty birthday. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. That's so sad. All that hard work and has the opposite of grateful. I was single for so many B-days that when I finally had a GF on my B-day, I didn't care what we did. As long as I was with her, had her wish me a happy B-day, it made me feel infinitely better than any of the B-days I spent alone. He's totally lost sight of what's important and is moody and immature. He doesn't know how good he's got it. Here's the response from OP. Thanks. He's had a rough couple years, but has really just turned into such a bitter person. I thought I did good. It sounds like you did do well. He's just determined to be bitter. He got the snake he wanted, which took you a lot of work to do. He got to see his grandpa, but unfortunately, you got sick. There are a gazillion things going around right now, and obviously, you wouldn't have planned it this way. He didn't get sex on his birthday. Poor guy. His wife was in the bathroom with a bucket. If he doesn't feel secure without sex, that's his issue. It's also manipulative. He also had to go to work and be around the children he helped create. Have you no compassion? He's braver than any us Marine. I admittedly have low tolerance for it's my birthday adults. But while this guy is basically another child she has to manage. Why does he do that? At TTPs, E822,200, usarchive.org 18 items. Oh boy. Does he deny it? Him going through your phone is a huge red flag of an abusive personality. Please read the text linked above. It will help you understand what's going on. Like and subscribe for more awesome daily Reddit content. And don't forget to hit the bell to get notified when I upload new videos.